Ça va, madame?
Vous lui ressemblez beaucoup.
Have you heard of the smartest thief on TV? Lupin is here to turn everything upside down, with brilliant heists, gripping mysteries, and a revenge story that hooks you from start to finish. If you're into stories full of suspense, plot twists, and that irresistible touch of charm, this video and this series are made for you. Get ready for a full recap of all 15 episodes that made Assane Diop a global sensation. And don't forget, if you enjoy the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss a single moment of our beloved Lupin's next adventures. In the heart of Paris, inside the majestic Louvre Museum, one of the greatest heists in history is about to unfold. And behind this audacious plan, Assane Diop, a sharp, stylish, and charismatic man who lives on the edge of the law, but always with flair and purpose. Inspired by the adventures of the legendary gentleman thief Arsène Lupin from the classic French novels, Assane turns crime into an art form. The episode opens with Assane at a low point. He's drowning in debt, working as a janitor, and his personal life is a mess. His ex, Claire, is frustrated with him for failing to pay child support for their son, Raoul. But this ordinary man persona hides a brilliant mind and a powerful thirst for revenge. At the center of it all is a priceless artifact, the Queen's necklace, a historic jewel worth millions of euros tied to France's aristocratic past. Long thought lost, the necklace is now set to be auctioned at the Louvre, and that's the spark Assane needs. This necklace has a deep connection to his family. Years ago, Assane's father, Babacar Diop, was falsely accused of stealing that very jewel while working as a chauffeur for the powerful Pellegrini family. The accusation ruined his life, and Assane is out for justice. But Assane is no ordinary thief. With charm, disguises, and a mind always one step ahead, he devises a brilliant plan: infiltrate the auction as part of a fake cleaning crew hired for the event. Throughout the episode, we see his mastery of manipulation, improvisation, and reading people. He recruits small-time criminals to assist him, revealing only bits of the plan, classic Lupin style.
C'est là que vont avoir lieu les enchères. Faudra faire gaffe, là-bas il y a des caméras partout. Il y a 1500 endroits où il n'y a pas de caméra, c'est là.
As the auction unfolds, tension runs high. While the wealthy place outrageous bids on the necklace, Assane and his team execute the heist with precision. But of course, something goes wrong. One of his accomplices tries to double-cross him. No matter, Assane saw it coming. He vanishes into the crowd with the necklace, leaving security and police stunned in his wake. At the end of the episode, we see Assane strolling freely through the streets of Paris. He had swapped the real necklace for a replica, fooling even the experts. But this heist wasn't just about money. It was a calculated move to reopen his father's case, challenge a long-lost innocence, and set in motion a journey of truth, revenge, and justice.
Vous entrez balayeur et vous sortez millionnaire.
And so, with a stylish soundtrack, an air of suspense, and a modern-day French Robin Hood vibe, the journey of Assane Diop begins, the Lupin of our time. After the daring theft of the Queen's necklace, Assane Diop is far from taking a break. Now, with the necklace in his possession and both the media and police buzzing over the heist, he starts moving his pieces more deliberately. What he truly wants goes far beyond the monetary value of the jewel. He wants to expose the Pellegrini family and prove that his father was framed. In this episode, Assane digs deeper into the past and present of the Pellegrinis. His focus is on Hubert Pellegrini, the billionaire tycoon who accused Babacar Diop of theft years ago. To get closer to him, Assane prepares a new disguise and, as always, fully commits to the role. He infiltrates the family's circle as a journalist, posing as someone conducting an interview with Hubert's daughter, Juliette Pellegrini, whom Assane has known since childhood.
Vous
Vous avez l'air pressé, moi aussi, ça tombe bien.
Their reunion is tense, loaded with subtext. While Juliet seems to have taken a respectable path, working on social causes and earning public admiration, Assane still sees her as a direct link to her family's dark past. Meanwhile, the police investigation into the necklace theft begins to heat up. Detective Youssef Gadira, a cop with a passion for literature, especially the Arsène Lupin novels, starts to notice that the mysterious thief isn't just anyone. He begins connecting the dots between the criminal's style and the famous fictional character, bringing him dangerously close to the truth, that Assane is drawing inspiration from Lupin to orchestrate his plans. At the same time, we get a deeper look into Assane's personal life. We see more of his relationship with his son, Raoul, and with Claire, his ex-partner. He tries to reconnect, but past mistakes and lost time are real obstacles. Still, Assane shows himself to be a devoted father, even if in unconventional ways, which humanizes him amid all the suspense and action.
Sors-moi les pièges, je sais ce que je fais.
Faites quoi?
Rien de spécial, mon grand.
The episode's turning point comes when Assane uncovers something shocking, a letter written by his father, Babacar, while in prison. The letter never reached Assane. It was intercepted, likely by the Pellegrinis, further strengthening the theory that there was a conspiracy to frame Babacar and silence any chance of defense. By the end of the episode, Assane takes another bold step. He breaks into the Pellegrini mansion to search for documents and clues that could prove their guilt. Using his natural talent for blending in unnoticed, he slips in and out without raising alarm, but it's clear he's poking a dangerous beast. Hubert Pellegrini is not just a powerful businessman, he's dangerous, and he has loyal allies willing to do whatever it takes to protect his secrets. With more questions than answers, the episode ends, leaving the audience certain of one thing: the game is just beginning. And Assane, he continues to play it like a true master of disguise and strategy.
Des ingrédients, de champignons et un oignon que vous allez couper très finement comme ça.
Episode 3 kicks off with the net tightening around Assane Diop. After infiltrating the Pellegrini mansion, he's now officially in the police's crosshairs. But, as always, he keeps his cool. While the world around him spins into chaos, Assane continues to play the game with brilliance, using the turmoil to his advantage. Tension rises when the media airs security footage from the Louvre, showing a partial image of Assane's face during the necklace heist. The police begin circulating composite sketches and come dangerously close to catching him. But Assane, the master of disguise, stays one step ahead. He changes identities as easily as changing clothes, constantly adapting his plan to whatever comes his way. The plot takes an intriguing turn when Assane meets Fabienne Berriot, a former investigative journalist who was silenced by Hubert Pellegrini years ago.
Est-ce que vous avez le sang des victimes de Kuala Lumpur sur les mains?
She had uncovered dark secrets about his company, including ties to arms trafficking, but was discredited and now lives in isolation, nearly forgotten. Assane, determined to expose the Pellegrinis, sees in her a powerful ally. Their dynamic clicks instantly. Fabienne is sharp, cynical, and just as driven as Assane, and the fact that he shows up with the infamous necklace in hand helps convince her he's serious. Together, they begin compiling a dossier of evidence against Hubert Pellegrini, revealing how the necklace theft was used as a smokescreen to cover up his real crimes. Meanwhile, the detectives are still struggling to piece things together. Inspector Guerra, obsessed with the Lupin novels, continues to notice uncanny parallels between the recent crimes and the stories of the gentleman thief. He becomes increasingly convinced that the culprit is staging his heists based on the books. His colleagues, however, dismiss the theory, giving Guerra a lonely but potentially game-changing edge.
Il s'appelait Luis Perena. Je l'avais jamais vu avant.
Assane, aware that time is running out, pushes forward with the investigation, but a new obstacle emerges. Dumont, the former police commissioner who helped frame Babacar. Assane confronts him, armed with the intercepted letter and Fabienne's findings. Their exchange is tense, and Assane makes it clear he's not just seeking justice. He wants the truth brought into the light. In the episode's climax, Assane takes Fabienne to a safe location, knowing that if the Pellegrinis discover she's involved, they won't hesitate to silence her again, or worse. The two dig deeper into the family's corruption, while Assane continues juggling multiple roles as a father, a son in search of redemption, and a modern-day Avenger in the spirit of Lupin. The episode ends with a clear message. The truth is closer than ever, but the closer Assane gets to the heart of the conspiracy, the more dangerous the game becomes, and the Pellegrinis are beginning to realize someone is playing at their level or even above it.
Et c'était déjà lui au jardin du Luxembourg et... Ah, c'est lui qui nous a volé le colis.
Episode 4 opens with a powerful and emotional flashback. We're taken back to Assane's teenage years living with his father, Babacar. It's a moment that adds even more depth to the story, revealing the strong bond between father and son and how the false accusation shattered everything. Babacar appears as an honest, dignified man, doing his best to secure a better future for Assane while working for the elitist and manipulative Pellegrini family. Back in the present, Assane continues with his mission to bring down Hubert Pellegrini, but now he carries a new pain. Fabienne Barrio, the journalist who had become a key ally, has been killed. She was one of the few willing to face the truth with him, and her death not only hits him emotionally, but sends a clear message. The Pellegrinis are willing to do anything. There are no rules in this game, and Assane knows he has to be more careful than ever. The episode also highlights the growth of Detective Guedira, who becomes increasingly convinced that the culprit is mimicking the exploits of Arsène Lupin. He goes back to the old books, spotting references and patterns in the crimes that no one else notices. Still, his colleagues remain skeptical, making Guedira a solitary investigator, but one dangerously close to uncovering the truth. Meanwhile, Assane decides to go bolder than ever. He sets his sights on Leonard, the hitman hired by Pellegrini and the one responsible for Fabienne's murder. In disguise, as always, Assane tries to lure Leonard out of hiding to avenge her death. He sets a trap, orchestrating a scenario to confront the killer face to face. In this tense showdown, we see a different side of Assane. Despite all his wit and charm, he feels fear. Leonard is cold, experienced, and ruthless, a reminder that this game isn't just about disguises and deception. There's blood on the line, and one wrong move could mean death. Their chase evolves into one of the most electrifying moments of the season, a suspenseful sequence worthy of a top-tier action film. At the same time, Assane tries to maintain his relationship with his son, Raoul. He promises to celebrate the boy's birthday together, offering a rare, lighter glimpse of Assane's life. But, as always, his double life gets in the way. He fails to keep the promise, and Claire, increasingly suspicious and disappointed, begins to doubt whether Assane is truly changing. By the episode's end, Assane secures a vital new lead, a flash drive containing confidential files that directly expose Pellegrini's shady dealings. He knows he's closing in on the truth, but he's also more vulnerable than ever. The episode ends with Assane at a train station, unaware that he's being watched from afar. He doesn't know it yet, but the hunter is about to become the hunted.
Oh, il s'est trop kiffé. J'hallucine.
The final episode of Part 1 opens with a clear sense that everything is about to explode. Assane Diop is under more pressure than ever, from all sides. The police are closing in, the hitman Leonard is still at large, and Hubert Pellegrini now knows that someone is digging into his past, and that someone is a real threat. Still, Assane decides to go through with an even bolder plan, taking his son, Raoul, on a trip to Etretat, a place that holds deep personal meaning for him and for the legacy of Arsène Lupin. It's the perfect setting for some quality father-son time to celebrate Raoul's birthday and maybe even repair some of the damage caused by his constant absences. But the choice of location, while symbolic, turns out to be dangerous. As their trip unfolds, Claire, worried about Assane's disappearances and mysterious lifestyle, alerts the police. Detective Guedira, who has long suspected Assane, finally gets the confirmation he needs. He uncovers the truth. The thief who's been outsmarting all of France is none other than Assane Diop, the son of the man wrongfully accused years ago. The episode's tone shifts into a mix of nostalgia, tension, and danger. Assane tries to give Raoul a weekend to remember, with picnics, stories, and even a special gift, an original Arsène Lupin book. For a fleeting moment, the two finally reconnect, and it seems Assane may have found a bit of peace. But that calm doesn't last. Leonard Pellegrini's hired killer discovers their location and arrives in Etretat, ready to strike. At the same time, Guedira, having followed the trail, also reaches the town. A confrontation is inevitable. In a tense beachside sequence, Assane realizes they're being watched. He manages to shake Leonard off briefly, but then the unthinkable happens. Raoul vanishes. The boy had been alone for just a few minutes, and now he's gone. Panicked, Assane races along the cliffs of Etretat, calling out for his son, searching every corner, but all he finds are traces and uncertainty. Then comes the climax. Guedira appears, gun in hand, and calmly says, "You're Lupin, aren't you?" Assane turns to face the detective, his eyes still filled with fear and desperation.
Lupin?
The episode ends on this intense cliffhanger, leaving two burning questions. Where is Raoul? And has the game between Assane and the police finally come to an end? Part 1 closes at peak tension, but also with the promise that this story is far from over. What began as a daring heist has become a personal war, and Assane Diop, or rather Lupin, now has far more at stake than revenge. He has to save his son. Part 2 opens with a pounding heart. Raoul is missing, and Assane Diop is completely unhinged. The atmosphere is urgent. What started as a peaceful trip to Etretat has turned into a nightmare. Assane frantically searches the area, calling out for his son, grappling with how he let this happen and who's behind the abduction. The answer doesn't take long to surface. Raoul was taken by none other than Leonard, the hitman working for Hubert Pellegrini. Now more than ever, Assane realizes he's up against an enemy who has no limits.
Lâche cette voiture là! J'ai appelé les flics, hein, je te préviens.
Non, pas les flics. Arrête. Tu te calmes. Tu me laisses faire, d'accord?
Je te jure, je vais les appeler.
This is no longer just about justice or honor, it's personal. And when you mess with Lupin's son, you'd better be ready for retaliation. In this desperate scenario, the episode moves between action and raw emotional tension. Police are also present in Etretat after Claire alerted the authorities when she noticed Raoul's disappearance. Detective Guedira, still obsessed with Lupin, finally confronts Assane, armed and ready, but instead of arresting him, he chooses to listen. And once again, Assane turns the tables. With quick wit and persuasive charm, he convinces Guedira that the real threat is Pellegrini, and that everything he's done has a purpose, to prove his father's innocence and expose the corruption behind the Pellegrini empire. Guedira, a self-declared fan of Arsène Lupin, finds himself torn between his duty as a cop and his admiration for this charismatic thief with a strict and noble moral code. Meanwhile, Leonard is driving with Raoul locked in the trunk. The boy is scared, but not helpless. This episode shows that Raoul is more than just a frightened child. He has his father's spirit. He tries to escape, attempts to trick the kidnapper, and even leaves clues to be found. The blood of Lupin runs strong in him. With Guedira's reluctant help, Assane begins following the trail. They discover Leonard is fleeing through the countryside, and together, they set a trap along the road.
Je plaisante pas là.
Là, c'est lui.
Then comes one of the most emotional moments of the episode, a high-speed chase, full of twists and turns, with Assane racing against time to save his son before it's too late. The final showdown between Assane and Leonard takes place in the middle of the road. Raoul manages to escape the car for a brief moment, but things escalate when Leonard sets the vehicle on fire, with the boy still inside. It's a gut-wrenching scene. Assane rushes toward the flames, screaming for his son as the fire spreads. The episode ends on a powerful cliffhanger. Assane finally reaches the burning car, shouting Raoul's name as the flames rise. The screen fades to black. We don't know if Raoul made it out in time. A new chapter has begun in Assane Diop's life, and now he's done playing games. The gentleman thief has become a furious father, and the war against Pellegrini is only just beginning. The episode picks up exactly where the last one left off. The car is in flames, and Assane is sprinting in a panic to save his son. The scene is intense. Assane's desperation is palpable. The fire is real, but what keeps us on edge is one burning question. Is Raul alive? Yes. Fortunately, Raul managed to escape before the car exploded, thanks to the courage and cleverness he clearly inherited from his father. Assane finds him safe and sound, hiding in the woods, and their embrace is the kind that lets viewers finally exhale.
Notre fondation a été volée, mais nous ne nous laisserons pas intimider.
But the relief is short-lived. Leonard is still on the loose, and now he knows he failed. That makes him even more dangerous. Assane decides he can no longer leave any loose ends. He's furious, and for the first time, he's considering crossing the line. His plan now includes something more direct, taking Leonard out of the picture. But first, he must ensure Raul and Claire are safe. With help from his loyal friend Benjamin, the antique dealer, he arranges a secure hideout for the two. Benjamin, as always, doesn't question. He just helps. In parallel, we're shown flashbacks of Assane's past, revealing how he first got involved with tricks, disguises, and small-time cons. These glimpses show a teenage Assane burning with rage over his father's unjust fate and beginning to shape the sharp mind that would become his greatest weapon against the system. Meanwhile, Pellegrini takes new steps to protect his image. He tries to manipulate public opinion, speaks to the police, and, as always, plays the victim. But he's clearly rattled. Assane keeps slipping through his fingers and challenging him, and now it's more personal than ever. The episode ends with a shocking twist. Leonard is found dead, shot in the chest. Did Assane kill him, or did someone else get there first? The camera lingers on Assane's face, serious, cold. He doesn't say a word, but we can sense that something has shifted. Perhaps the refined, calculating thief is starting to give way to a darker avenger.
Il y a des chances, ouais.
And the lingering question is, how far is Assane willing to go? After the mysterious death of Leonard in the previous episode, things start getting even more complicated for Assane. Though he had every reason to want the hitman gone, he wasn't the one who pulled the trigger, and that only deepens the mystery. Who killed Leonard? That question begins to haunt not only Assane, but also the viewer, and the answer could change everything. As he tries to process the situation, Assane realizes he's more cornered than ever. The police are tightening the investigation, and although Guedera still suspects Assane might be on the right side of justice, the system is against him. Assane is now officially considered a dangerous fugitive tied to kidnapping and murder. He needs time, allies, and a new plan.
L'homme, décrit comme rusé, continue de se jouer des services de police. Cela fait 2 jours maintenant que le feuilleton autour de la traque d'Assane Diop tient la France.
That's when Benjamin steps back in. Assane's loyal friend not only helps him stay hidden, but also assists in crafting a new scheme. Assane needs to recover the documents that incriminate Hubert Pellegrini, the ones stored on Fabienne's flash drive, and more importantly, expose them to the public in a way no one can deny. But Pellegrini, as always, remains one step ahead in terms of power and influence. He manipulates the media, distorts the facts, and paints Assane as a ruthless criminal. In a press conference, he appears alongside Dumont, the corrupt police officer who years ago helped frame Babacar Diop. It's at that moment that Assane decides to expand his target list, not just Pellegrini, but Dumont as well, to dismantle the corruption from within. Donning another clever disguise, this time as a maintenance worker, Assane sneaks into Dumont's building, abducts him, and takes him to a secluded location.
T'inquiète pas, on est bientôt arrivé. Tu connais les points d'énergie? Quoi? Mais maintenant tu connais.
There, he applies emotional pressure, revisiting the lies, the dirty deals, the betrayal. The scene is intense. Dumont is terrified, and Assane, though composed, can't hide his pain. He demands a full confession, especially about Pellegrini's role in the conspiracy that landed his father in prison. Meanwhile, Guedera keeps following Assane's trail. Despite pushback from his superiors, he starts to see the rot in Pellegrini's past. He reviews old case files, cross-references names and dates, and everything points to a conspiracy. What's most striking now is that Guedera isn't just intrigued anymore. He wants justice, just like Assane. The tension builds as Assane decides to turn Dumont into a pawn. He sets up a scenario where the officer will either have to confess or be publicly exposed. With this move, Assane begins to crack the Pellegrini house of cards. One by one, he plans to bring down everyone who played a part in destroying his father's life. The episode ends with Dumont, panicked, staring into a hidden camera, on the verge of confessing confessing everything. He hesitates, trembles, and just as he's about to speak, the episode cuts.
Juste la vérité.
Mais je te l'ai déjà dit, la vérité! Et t'en veux pas!
Arrête de mentir, putain! Arrête!
The psychological game is at its peak. Assane isn't slowing down. Now he's striking from the shadows and in the spotlight all at once. This episode dives deep into the aftermath of Dumont's recorded confession, a move that Assane masterfully uses to further destabilize Hubert Pellegrini and his web of corruption. Feeling cornered, Dumont tries to bargain for protection from Pellegrini, only to realize he's becoming increasingly isolated. Meanwhile, Assane finds himself torn between protecting his family, especially Claire and Raoul, and continuing his pursuit of justice. The episode's climax comes when Assane pulls off a bold infiltration of a lavish gala hosted by Pellegrini to deliver a crucial piece of evidence, a document that proves Pellegrini's ties to corruption and criminal activity. The infiltration is classic Lupin, meticulous, suspenseful, and filled with moments of near discovery.
C'est toujours pareil avec toi.
The episode ends with Pellegrini enraged, vowing to destroy Assane once and for all, while Assane, watching from a distance, knows the battle is far from over, but feels closer than ever to the truth. The episode opens in the aftermath of Assane's daring infiltration of Pellegrini's gala, where he exposed crucial evidence against the magnate. The atmosphere is tense, Pellegrini is more furious than ever, and the police have now launched a nationwide manhunt for Assane, who is officially a wanted fugitive. The narrative shifts to the mounting pressure on Claire and Raoul, who are forced into hiding while Assane continues to play his dangerous game. Claire reveals her protective, pragmatic side, growing firmer about the real danger they face. She pleads with Assane to think of their family before going any further. This conflict highlights that Assane's fight isn't just against Pellegrini, it's against time, and the toll it takes on the people he loves.
Tu sais quoi? Tu sais la peur? La honte? Tu sais les regards méprisants? Tu sais Raoul qui se réveille en pleine nuit en hurlant? Non!
Meanwhile, Pellegrini leverages his political and judicial connections in an attempt to regain control. He uses legal loopholes to suppress evidence and employs his power to discredit witnesses and those connected to Assane. It becomes a battle between corrupt influence and clever resistance, where every move carries a heavy cost. But Assane isn't alone. Benjamin once again proves to be an invaluable partner, helping to orchestrate the next step of their plan, exposing direct links between Pellegrini and the injustices that destroyed Babacar Diop's life. Together, they devise a strategy to leak classified documents and spark public pressure that can't be ignored. This episode also reveals Assane's human side. In a quiet moment, he reflects on everything he's been through, the choices he's made, and the emotional and physical toll it's taken. The series does an excellent job of balancing suspense with vulnerability, drawing the audience even closer to the character. At the end of the episode, a major twist unfolds. Pellegrini discovers Assane's hideout and sends his men to capture him. A tense, action-packed chase ensues, but as always, Assane escapes at the very last moment, further cementing his reputation as a master of evasion. The episode closes with Assane delivering a direct message to Pellegrini. This isn't over. Uschart, the battle is more intense than ever, and the stakes continue to rise. Part 3 opens with Assane Diop trying to rebuild his life after the whirlwind of Part 2, but the consequences of his war against Pellegrini still linger. He's more cautious now, fully aware that a single misstep could cost him everything, especially his family's safety.
Mais c'est tous les jours. Vous encore, voilà. J'en peux plus. Heureusement, je suis plus beau gosse que lui.
Claire and Raoul are living a quieter, more protected life, far from the public eye, but the threat never fully disappears. The final episode begins with Assane Diop fully focused on delivering the finishing blow to Hubert Pellegrini. After so much struggle, deception, and risk, he knows this is his last chance to expose the magnate and clear his father's name. The tension is palpable from the very first moments. Assane crafts a plan that's as meticulous as it is daring, drawing on all his skills, masterful disguises, strategic brilliance, and loyal allies. He has to be flawless. One wrong step could mean total ruin. Throughout the episode, we follow scenes filled with action, suspense, and powerful emotional beats, especially those involving his family. Claire and Raoul are central to this finale, reminding us that for Assane, nothing matters more than protecting them. Pellegrini, feeling the walls closing in, makes one last desperate attempt to escape justice, wielding all the power and influence he has left. The final showdown between him and Assane is more psychological than physical, a battle of minds where every move counts. The episode delivers unexpected twists, surprising alliances, and a resolution that blends justice, redemption, and hope. Assane finally succeeds in exposing the full truth behind the corruption and injustice that shattered his family. The series concludes with a reflection on morality, vengeance, and the pursuit of justice, with Assane emerging as a modern hero, a 21st century Lupin, using wit and charm to turn the tables on the powerful. The ending is emotional, celebrating family, courage, and the hope for a better future, while still keeping the flame of mystery alive, hinting that Assane Diop's adventures may not be over just yet.
Perdant dès lors toute lucidité.
And that brings us to the end of Lupin Part 3, a season filled with twists, high-stakes emotion, and that brilliant game of cat and mouse we've all come to love. Assane Diop has once again proven that beyond being a master of disguise and heists, he's a man driven by love, justice, and a deep desire to right the wrongs of the past. But the story is far from over. With the success of the first 3 parts and the mystery still very much alive, Netflix has already confirmed that Part 4 is on the way, and the anticipation is only growing. Get ready for more adventures, daring plans, and that perfect blend of suspense, drama, and charm that only Lupin can deliver. Stay tuned because Assane Diop still has a lot more to show us, and we'll be right here to follow every step of this incredible journey. If you've made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.